So welcome back to Lovely Being You. You know, it's beautiful when children can have a childhood where it's filled with innocence and they don't have their parents talking in front of them about adult information that children should not be privy to so soon. We want our children to have a childhood and to be able to have that innocence for as long as they possibly can. Growing up, I had my stepmother had two cousins, Neat and Barbara. I called them Aunt Neat and Aunt Barbara. They were country girls, and they lived in Carthage, North Carolina. Beautiful home. And in the summertime, I think I joined them for 2 summers. It wasn't a full summer because we had to go south to see my grandparents in South Carolina. I always hid when it was time to go because they actually made me feel like I was wanted. My father married my stepmother when we were kids, and we were not invited to the wedding. Now, my father figure, I have to say, because that Joseph Myers Sr. is not my father. However, that is my brother's father. Excuse me. But I had a conversation with my brother more recently where when we talked, I told him, how can a mother break the news to her daughter that the person she idolized and knew as her father, how can she tell her? How can she break the news to her? I believe my mother could not break that news to me because she would have had to do a lot more of explaining. In children, in childhood, there's a lot that is not going to be said sometimes to basically protect the child. And although I thought for years that my brother and I shared the same mother and father, I realized that everyone had a different father. But to really get down to the meat of what I'm really trying to talk about today is my Aunt Neat and my Aunt Barbara were my stepmother's cousins, her mother's first cousins. And I was accepted by them wholeheartedly. When we went there during the summer times, my younger brother Kenyon and myself, we were allowed to have a childhood. We would stay out, we would go out early in the morning and run through a cornfield, pick apples off the tree, lay out, and eat fruit all day. We only went into the house to go to the bathroom. Outside of that, we were out there all day. And Aunt Neat and Aunt Barbara treated us with so much love and kindness. If my childhood was spent with just them, I would never have been violated the way that I was violated, mistreated the way that I was mistreated. But throughout every experience that you have, it still builds you to being the person that you are today. So although I would love to say I wouldn't take anything from my journey, some things I would. Every Christmas we would go to my step-grandmother's house, my Gamp, and she would give out money. She would give $1,000 to my younger brother, $800 to my younger sister, and $500 to my youngest brother. And my brother and I were the oldest two, and we would just sit there and have a meal together. Now, we would tell our mother that we did not want to go because it was really depleting to sit at a table or to sit in the room and they would be presented with this money and we would get nothing. It definitely felt very uncomfortable, especially because we were the oldest two. Now, this happened every Christmas. Now, also, with this happening every Christmas, my father figure, Joe, would have this big grin on his face. What I didn't look at the time is nobody received anything because he took the money. He would smile and act as though everyone was going to get, the 3 youngest ones were going to get their money. But in all truth, I believe that they only got a piece of their money if they got any at all. because he would take the money and he would spend it on whatever he wanted to spend it on. Now, this also shows you when a parent would do that and not put it in a college fund or something that would help these children later on, that says a lot about the person. Now, again, this was not my real father. He knew it at the time as well. But if we have a plan and we're trying to take the innocence of a child away, or we're trying to unalive the child, you would want the insurance money. So of course you would keep your name on that birth certificate as well. When a mother is faced with realizing who it is that she is with, and she decides to leave him, drive and move away, 5 hours away, she was really running for her life. Although none of us knew at the time that she was really what she was really going through. You know, when he found out that, you know, that I had had a dream that my mother was going to pass away, and I told her about it, and she came to see me. She came to stay with me for a whole month, and we cleared up anything that we had problems with, any kind of misunderstandings or what have you. However, at the end of it, she had to go back home. And when she went back home, before she left, she said she just wants to, you know, she just wants to be left alone. I didn't know it was a cry for help. Her cry for help was basically stating that she just wanted him to leave her alone. You know, I thought she was talking about a completely different man. I thought she was talking about the man who she was supposed to be married to at the time. But she was talking about the father figure that I knew as my father for so many years. She had a horrible experience where she had had a fight with him in prior years. And when she'd had this fight with him, she passed out. And when she came through, he was on top of her. This was the thing that basically made her say, okay, I'm done. And I only want to deal with you when it comes to the children. She wanted me to know that I was not his child. But how do you break the news to a person who's looked up to this man all of their life? She saw a lot of the things that he did, and she felt powerless. When you love yourself, you're going to make certain sacrifices. I believe she was trying to make the sacrifice of getting away. But how do you even tell your children such a thing? We all have got to choose self-love. And sometimes when you're choosing self-love, that means it starts with you. You starting with you. If I love myself, I'm not going to deal with this type of behavior. If I love myself, I'm going to remove myself from an unhealthy situation. If I love myself, I'm choosing love over everything else. So I want you to keep that in mind, because I share these stories on this platform specifically so that people can see that real lives have been affected, that real lives have got to choose their own themselves over a lot of other things. When you love yourself, you are going to make better decisions, better choices, so that you can survive in the end. There have been a great deal of people who tried to come into my neighborhood and stalk me, and try to even turn my friends against me, and even turn my job against me, and think that I am a person that I am not. However, all the truths are coming out at this point in time. It's just important that we realize that if you are going to love yourself, you have got to make better choices so that you come out in the end knowing that you made the right choices and speaking on your own behalf even when others do not. Love yourself every day of your life and know that God stands with you and for you when you are standing in truth. Love yourself. Thank you so much for joining us here. Love you.